Now this is the star of the show. This is Keda Cowling. There's an awful lot that I could say about this remarkable lady, but I'll keep it very brief. This is the classroom teacher. That's all she is, and that's all she's ever wanted to be. And I truly believe that is one of the main reasons why toe by toe is such a powerful tool. Because there's no highfalutin theory behind toe by toe. This is just one classroom teacher's solution how to help these struggling readers. So she left Bingley Training College in 1968 and she got a job at Sandal Road Primary School in Baildon, just outside Bradford. It's the only school that she ever taught at, and she only ever taught one age group. The children were 6 and 7 years old. And that, of course, is the age group when most children begin to pick up reading skills. In 1968, class sizes were 40. There were no TAs. It was one teacher, 40 kids, get on with it, which she did. She loved being a teacher from day one. She was born to teach, this lady. But at the end of that first year, out of those 40 children, 5 or 6 had made no progress in terms of their reading skills. And Keda was baffled because they were every bit as bright as the other children, but for some reason, they'd really struggled with this thing. So Keda was baffled. She thought she'd failed these children in some way. And so she said to the parents of the struggling readers, she said, "Do you mind if I teach your child after school in my house? There'll be no charge. I just want to see what I can do to help your child learn to read." So most parents agreed to this, of course, and that is where toe by toe came from. Keda's house was full of children every afternoon between 4 and 5 for the next 30 years. It didn't happen overnight. It was a good 15 years before toe by toe was a fully functioning system. But that's where it came from. One classroom teacher trying different things. She had no idea what was happening in the psychology departments of the universities, but she looked at the reading process and she pared it down to the absolute basics, the bare essentials necessary to be able to do this reading thing. And that is why toe by toe is so powerful. Keda used a teacher's pension to publish toe by toe. Thankfully, it's been a great success. It's now used in more than 20,000 schools around the world, far more than 20,000. And it spreads by word of mouth, by recommendation. And that is the greatest testament to its effectiveness, I think. Now, why does it work so well, that little red book? Because of the decades of painstaking trial and error research that went into it. Progress by tiny steps. That's why we call it toe by toe. Constant reinforcement and overlearning of these skills. If you've worked with a severely dyslexic child, you know you can't just teach him something and think, all right, job done. You have to keep coming back to it in a structured, systematic way to make sure it's lodged in the long-term memory. Nonsense words and the syllable division, this is the essence of toe by toe. Now, I have to say, right from the start here, that this is a highly structured scheme. You start from the beginning with the fundamentals of phonics, the letter sounds, and you build up by tiny steps until you can read virtually anything. But you have to follow that structure because it's diagnostic. It will highlight weaknesses, which we work on very systematically, which I'll come to later. And if you do that, as I say, it will work virtually every time. Where it does not work, it's because you've not succeeded in getting that child to work with you. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this is easy. If you're working with a severely dyslexic child, it will be an almighty struggle. It will take years. It will take real commitment and resources from all involved. But it can be done. One thing I do know about dyslexia is it is not a sign of low intelligence. If a child is struggling to read, there's a reason why they're struggling. And that reason is very unlikely to be low intelligence. I first used toe by toe in 1998. I'd been teaching overseas for 20 years. I came back to the UK and I took a child through toe by toe. At that point in my life, I was blissfully unaware that the letter G had got 2 sounds, neither of which is G. I didn't know that because I didn't need to know, because I'm not dyslexic.